right, what's good, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Just wanted to give it a couple seconds and let everybody else jump onto the session. But what is good? Good morning. Hopefully everybody's having a great week so far. Obviously, we're going to jump onto the charts, identify some markets, really help you guys understand what's needed to become profitable and answer any and all questions and really teach you guys how to necessarily trade the Forex market. So what's good, everybody? Before we begin, if you guys could do me one quick favor, if you can share this with anybody or somewhere, just so that way if somebody needs help, they have the ability to have that help. And if you could like this video as well, it definitely helps. We have been growing this community pretty quickly, honestly. We've been having a lot more people subscribe. We're having a lot more people on the calls, and that's to you guys. So I just want to extend my gratitude and say that you guys have been doing amazing, and if we can continue to grow the community, obviously just throughout transparency and the value that's given, that will be great. So let's get that started as well. But what's good, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I will be taking a look at the chat as we go along with this, so I'm going to try to make sure that I answer any and all questions. But I do want to make sure that before we begin, I'm going to be looking at specific charts because there are going to be some trade setups that I want to look at, not just for myself but for my legacy students. And then obviously you'll be able to see those type of trades that we'll be getting into and why. So if it matches your analysis, you'll be able to take those trades as well. So there are going to be a few charts I'm going to be taking a look at. I'm not going to take in requests on charts as of yet, again, because I do want to take a look at some things, really help you guys understand the reasoning on why I'm looking at them, and help you guys understand how to break down a chart and mark it up, right? Really be able to mark up a chart in a way where you're looking for, obviously, an entry, you're looking for profits, and something that's going to be accurate. What's good, Sean? What's good, everybody? So real quick, before I actually begin, we'll break down a few things, but I do want to break down the trade that we went into yesterday and also break down a few trades that I gave to my legacy students. I think two of them might have hit stop losses. I think we went 2 for 2. But with the trades that are in profit, it doesn't matter about the losses because the losses were about 20 pips in total. And our other two trades are running anywhere between 40 to 80 pips. So we're already in profits on those as well. And I do want to make sure that we're taking a look at some trades that we can possibly place here on the live. So that way you guys can make money at the same time alongside with us. So real quick, I do want to take a look at, I know my favorite pair is gold. So I do want to take a look at this because yesterday we did speak on what was going to happen with gold. If you go back into yesterday's video and the analysis that you can currently see right here, I did say that this was considered a sell zone, and if broken, wait for a retest, or if you can catch the breakout, trade it. So we're going to explain a few things on this because once we have a solid idea with gold, we have a strong idea of what the US dollar is going to be doing. And before we even continue with that, we do have some US news today. And it is a news heavy week. This is going to be NFP week. So we're going to see not too much volatility within the market of the dollar, or we should not. And you can see the gold just continuing to crash. But usually the week of NFP leading into the news, there wouldn't be too much movement. Sometimes it gets very choppy and consolidated. But that's not the case here with gold. It did give us a strong idea of what could potentially be happening next. So we did mention that yesterday this was considered, like before I deleted my analysis, you can see that I did say this was considered a sell zone. And if this was broken, we should wait for either the retest, or if you catch the breakout's great as well. So what we are going to do is go back and kind of understand exactly why I was looking at this as a potential sell setting up in the first place. Now, for the first thing we have to understand is gold is, yes, very much in a bullish market. And this is basically what I'm going to be saying, how I said yesterday. Was good, Jay, the realtor, was good. Good morning. So you can already see that this market is very bullish, but we know that it's not always going to be a buy, right? There's going to be sells and buyers markets and buys in a seller's market. So you can see that the market kind of came back within this weird little range. Now, this was my original zone here with these lows. I'll actually just zoom in so you can see that. So previously I was looking at either this being our level of structure that might be retested, right? Because you can see here, level of resistance, a break above, came back to retest, and it came back to retest this multiple times, and it crashed below, and when it did, it came back to test this level again. So I was looking at this as a level of structure for a potential sell. I was also weirdly looking at this area, which I did not expect it to be completely honest. I was not expecting this to be the idea that caused the market to potentially sell. But if we look left, it kind of is. I'll make this a little bit more perfect. There we go. So if you look here, this was being the resistance high of this weird ranging market at the time, right? That was the catalyst to our sell. That's our resistance. So I'm going to get rid of this. So now that I know that gold has already hit what's considered a PRZ, a potential reversal zone, I started identifying some selling factors, right? We're not just going to come into a level of structure and then identify, oh, it's time to sell. No, we have to truly see what's happening. So in the higher time frame, being the daily and even the weekly, really not so much the weekly, but more along the lines of the daily, you'll be able to see that we did come into a level of structure. Now, this is why I like to call it price action trading. I mean, it is considered or called price action trading, but if we break that down, it makes a little bit more sense. We identify the most relevant level of price, this being the price, and then you identify the actions that proceed within them, right? The actions at these levels of price is what's going to tell you the next move. So we come back over here to current market price. You can see that we could not quite push above. Now, we didn't get too many bearish candlestick variants that I would like to see. This being the only one being almost a bearish engulfing, and I say almost because it couldn't quite leave with a larger body to the downside. I'm just a stickler like that. I'm very disciplined in that. I don't like to see an engulfing candle with a wick to the up or to the downside that much, but this considered being a bearish engulfing because this candle is bigger than the left one here and also breaking lower than this one here. So it is engulfing at least two other candles, which is showing us some bearish momentum. When we scale down to a smaller time frame, such as the 4 hour, this is where we start to get a little bit more confirmation, this being our bearish engulfing candle. This also would be considered a evening star candlestick pattern if this candle here was just extended down a little bit more, but we couldn't even get that. So we start to see a lot of bearish rejection from this area. Now, the one thing I did say, and I expressed to you guys multiple times, and you can go take a look at the video from yesterday, this is a head and shoulders pattern. It's already confirmed at this point. I mean, it's already broken the neckline, right? That's not where I want to draw my trend line. I'll draw my trend line like this. I figured that would be the connected point. So the neckline here is already broken. Now, I'm more of a neckline when I come to my head and shoulders pattern like this, the actual market structure there. So you can see that that has been broken to the downside, showing us that the market is in fact continuing to sell. So we're identifying actions at a level of price, right? We were able to identify this as our sell range because that is the left shoulder price right here. So yesterday we were in this little range. We had a 1 hour ranging market. We'll replay this. So yesterday, if I'm correct, I don't know exactly where we were. If I'm correct, we were somewhere, I think down here. I might be wrong, but we're somewhere around this price point. And I did say that, well, we're looking at this head and shoulders pattern setting up at a level of strong resistance. Now, we are within this 1 hour range. And for the individuals who were here in the very beginning, you were able to see that it said 1 hour range. Now, we can see that we're not just going to sell at a low point, right? You can't say, well, you know what? I know this is going to sell. Let me sell from here, because your risk to reward wouldn't be that great. Your entry and drawdown would be there as well. So let's say it was like that. Eventually you'd be in profit, but that's not the best idea. The best idea is to allow that market to either, let me actually fix this real quick. There we go. Your best bet is to allow the market to reach your range high and then sell, or like you saw before, allow the market to break below, catch the retest, or i.e. the retest or the breakout rather, right? But let me get rid of a few things. There we go. So we're not going to simply sell at a low point, right? We have to allow the market to develop, and that's what the market did. It started to push up much higher. Now, it didn't quite reach back into my marked up zone, but use a little bit of common sense. I'll be like, okay, well, I'm starting to see that it's reaching a price point. It's coming back into that level of resistance. I might make a little bit of adjustment to look for my sells even there, right? So if we allow this to play out, you can see that the neckline, or it came back up higher rather, it came to a price point, to a level of resistance, and you can see the initial break below now. That break below is now confirming sellers within the market. It is showing us that this is no longer bullish, and gold will most likely want to be bearish. Now, obviously, with the news that's coming out later today and NFP later this week, we have to take that into consideration. But on a technical standpoint, we can see gold is very much now bearish. We did reach a level of support, with that level of support being right here. Let me jump onto 2 hours so I can zoom in. You guys can see that, right? What was a level of resistance? If you can't see that level of resistance, let's do this, right? Just so that way you guys get a picture on why these are levels of structure, why this is considered a level of resistance. If I press play, or rather, well, even better, I'm glad that happened. You can see that it was a level of resistance, and when it tried to break out, it couldn't at first until it finally found the momentum to then break above and come back down to test that area, however long it wants to take. I think this is the test here, unless this is the test coming up. But you can see that, again, there you go, that level of structure being extremely important, because it came down to test, and when it rejected off of, it came to test again, and then you have another bullish reaction. This is why it's important to understand the idea of structure and price, because the market is going to come back to those price points and give you some form of action. As the market is developing, we can actually add another structure here, right? Because look at how the market is developing there as the neckline or support of that structure point until it's finally broken, and it reaches back down to where? Another significant price point here. So I do think what we're looking at with gold is a potential sell trade setup happening, right? We have the break of the neckline here of this head and shoulders pattern. We also have, or before I even say that, we've already impulsed lower. We broke lower, showing us that sellers are in control. It reached down to a specific structure point down here, being the what you call it, the support range. I'm over here losing my mind. But you can see here that this is reaching the support range. So with that support range obviously being respected, this is causing the correction to this impulse. This being the impulse, this being the correction, which is great, because now we can identify, remember what I said, we can either trade the breakout or the retest. So we're going to add a few things for confluence here for a potential trade setup. And if you guys are getting information, if you guys are liking this, if this matches your information and analysis on your own trading, go ahead, leave a like. It's very important we grow this community with value, transparency, and profits. So if you guys can help me grow that community, by all means, I would appreciate the like. So you can see here I added a trend line. This trend line being accurate based off of the base where it first starts, the secondary, the second touch of the trend line, and we also, where's my little, there it is. And this is also considered our trigger, that third touch of the trend line, confirming that one, the trend line is in fact valid, a valid level of dynamic support or resistance, and also telling us that if it reaches that point again, we could look for a potential entry. Now, what we're also going to do is get a little bit more detailed and identify with a Fibonacci retracement tool. So what we're going to have to do is, I'm going to eliminate these circles here so that way nobody's confused and my chart doesn't look crazy. But what we can do is now add a fib from the swing high here to the swing low. And you can now identify further confluence. I might actually just drag my trend line even out to here. I know it's not touching there, but it might give us even a third touch. If not, that's not the third touch. This might be. I'm being a little bit more strict because I'm identifying it purely. Let me actually do it like that. There we go. I like that a lot more. So I'm identifying it based off of the actual highs and lows, or in this case, the highs of the wick. So there's no third touch there. I'm just adjusting it. So that can even give us a correction back up to the level of structure, Fibonacci retracement ratio, and also the trend line. So my idea for gold, I would think that that would be considered our sell kill zone. Very simple stuff. Now, I know it seems like it's not because I just broke it down in such a crazy way. But once you understand the overall idea, this is why we go into a higher time frame, being like the daily or the weekly, right? Excuse me. When we go into these higher time frames, we're understanding the overall idea. It's not just going to give us like the 5-minute idea where we're going to get 2 to 5 pips. No, we're going to be able to catch the entire move, which is exactly what anybody would want. You would want to make sure that you catch the entire move of a trade, because let's say for anybody who does trade here, and let's just say this is just a perfect world example. Obviously, this is not the case right now. Your first take profit is already 200 pips, and your stop loss is about 80, right? Because I will put it right above these previous highs up here. So my take profit is already about almost 200 pips. You can even make it 200 pips. And then if that's broken, you're catching it till all the way down here. So that's over 1,000 pips. What that would do is not only just give you that one idea for an entry, but if you know, or I wouldn't say no, but if you have an idea, the market is showing you it's a continued sell down to that point, 50% of your work is done, because you don't have to ask yourself, is this buying or is it selling? You know it's selling. So all you have to do from there is identify where you're going to sell from. And that's what we're doing right now, right? We can see that gold is in fact looking to sell much lower. We have broken the neckline of our head and shoulders pattern after respecting a significant level of daily structure. We already know that this on a higher time frame is giving us a strong impulsive move to the upside with no correction. When we scale down to the smaller time frames, we're starting to get an early idea of that correction starting. So I do think that with gold, we'll be looking to sell from this area. Hopefully that makes sense. If you are confused and don't know what anything I said, and you need me to go back and really help you understand something, feel free to let me know in the chat. I am taking a look. If you are getting some value, if you haven't liked the video already, please do so. Definitely helps grow the community. I'm sorry for asking. I have a strong idea and vision of what I have planned, not just for this YouTube, for everybody who watches on these streams, right? The more people we have on, the more we grow, the longer I stay on, more trades, or actually I'll be trading live with you guys. There's a lot of things I want to do with you guys. So I definitely want to grow this community. But yep, that's my idea with gold. If there's any questions on that, feel free to let me know. And then I'll move on to the next market I want to take a look at, because there were a few things, a few charts that we could look for potential trades. Now, obviously, if anybody's asking, Jay, would you buy gold leading into your sell zone? Meaning, would I go from here to here and take profit when it gets there? Absolutely not, right? I don't want anybody thinking that just because we're looking to sell from here means that the market is actually going to get there. Because what could end up happening is the market does this, right? Exactly what it's looking like now. I'll get rid of this fib really quick. It looks like it was buying, right? Gold looks like it was a strong buy until it's not, until it leaves a large wick to the upside and even uses this weird little level of structure here as, a sell point, right? Because you can see that the wick there on the previous candle was very much valid, and you can see it rejecting right off of it. The last thing you ever want to do is just jump into a trade and simply be like, well, since I'm looking for a sell from here, I'm going to buy into that level, because it doesn't necessarily mean that this sell currently isn't over already. It could still be very much continuing to the downside. So this is why it's important that we stay patient and let our trades develop into or come into fruition. You let the market really develop into the idea that you're looking at, because if you just place a trade blindly, you're going to lose money. So no, if anybody's thinking, should we buy from here into there? Absolutely not. I don't like that idea. So I would be careful on that. Let me go ahead and add my fib right here. And here again. Very well. Why didn't you put the fib at the highest point? You know, it's funny. I was literally just thinking that somebody was going to ask that. So for one, when you have a impulsive move and a correction and another impulsive move and a correction, the last thing you're going to do is try to go from swing high to swing low and try to get the measurement of two corrections. That would be inaccurate. Also, you don't put a fib in a ranging market. So if I have a market that's like this, you can't use a fib, right? Because once you have a ranging market, it invalidates the majority of your fibs, your trend lines. You're only trading basically roof to the basement, right? Attic to basement, if you will, highs to lows. Then when you get that impulsive move, that's when you could go and measure with a fib, because it's no longer in a range. It is a start of an impulsive move, and then you could identify the structure that was broken alongside a fib ratio. That is why. So if I go here, let me actually replay this real quick. If I go here, there is no impulse. This is just all a ranging market. What you can say is, oh, I mean, if anybody wanted to argue and say, well, there are, impulses and corrections, like this is an impulse, some people consider that a correction. I personally wouldn't, because again, that ranging market and a choppy market. But where did the impulse or where did the break happen from? So if I play this, where did the initial break happen from? Did it happen from this high here? Because it definitely didn't, because it came lower and you can see an initial correction here, right? But after that correction was over, what can you identify? Let me zoom in case anybody can't see. When I press play, what can we identify? A break. So where did that move start from? Where did the actual high of this impulse begin from? Here. Not all the way up here. If you ever see, I swear, if you see somebody do this shit, run. Just run. You just fire them. Tell them to go home. They're fired. They don't have to do anything else, because that's so inaccurate. It has to be based on that time frame off of the actual impulse high to the impulse, in this case, for a sell, from the impulse high to the impulse low. That is how you get your accurate measurement with the fib. Make a sense? It's not hard. It's just all common sense, right? So this is where the impulse started. As it broke, this is where the impulse stopped for its correction. Make sense? The fib was correct. It was drawn from the beginning of the impulse. LA! Damn, yo. Everything I've taught you, you still remember. That means that I did a good job. I appreciate that, LA. Showing them intelligence. Showing them IQs. Nah, that's what's up. Yeah, you're exactly right. The fact that this was the start of the impulse for the break rather, is reasoning for me measuring it like that. So good question. Hopefully you guys got some information on that, because that's something a lot of people miss out on. You know what I mean? They just draw their fibs and they're just like, oh, it's from this high to this low, not considering that this whole thing is its correction, right? From this high to this low is this market's correction, right? You can't just try and go ahead and be like, well, I'm going to measure both of them, because that's a correction and this is its new impulse and a new correction. So you got to make sure when you're using your fib, it's based off of the actual impulsive move, not the entire market. Like, I still see people, and I'm not going to say who, but I've seen on YouTube about like a bunch of people that, and they trade like smart money concepts and stuff, and it's just like they use their fib from that low to that high. And it's like, no, you got to understand the break market. Like, there's a lot of factors that go into using your fib, but in that essence, yeah, just from the swing high, the impulse to swing low. Yes, I do. Yes, you did do a great job. I appreciate that. I'm glad I did. Hopefully you're still making a lot of money trading. But yeah, that is my idea with gold. Again, leading into this week, we do have the market, or we do have news leading into today. We also have Canadian news at 8:30, which is just more along the lines of like oil news, because that gets affected pretty heavily as well. So if you look at oil, I'd say stay very clear of that as of at least for right now until the Canadian news is over with. But let me go ahead and take a look at some other charts now. Actually, I know yesterday I did go ahead and give you guys a trade, as you can see right here, for Gbpjpy. That was a very simple trade setup, right? As you can see here, I gave the signal. Now, for anybody who's on the stream right now and you are not in our Discord, part of our Discord, feel free to go ahead and use the link in the description below. I do obviously keep you guys up to date as to when I'm going live, which is every day. And I'm also giving you guys analysis and signals, so that way, as I'm teaching you guys are able to profit alongside with us. Now, there was a few other trades. Like, I did put out a few other trades yesterday. We did take a sell on Euro AUD. We had a stop loss hit on that. But I did send a signal out for students for AUD CHF. Where is it? So they got the sell CAD JPY and AUD CHF as well. So I'll go over those trades with you guys. Like AUD CHF here, that was in the beginning. And then obviously it just continued to push down much. So that's CAD JPY. Here's AUD CHF. So I will be able to go over some of these trades. I want to teach you guys exactly why we went over these trades, why I sent them out as signals for students. So that way, if you guys ever see these trade setups, you'll be able to place these as well. You know what I mean? I want you guys to be able to trade these on your own. It's very important that you guys become self-sufficient, so that way you can all, become profitable trading the Forex market. So I'll go over those trade setups and really teach you guys exactly what's needed. Can you look at Euro CAD GBP? Not yet, man. I'm not taking any requests right now. I'm going over some markets that I do believe have some trade setups, and also explaining some things so that way you can place your own trades as well. So right now, not going over any requests as of yet. If we have time towards the end, because I still have to trade binary for students, I do have a trade copy with this, so I do have to make sure I spend some time trading that as well. But if I got the time towards the end, I'll take a look at those. Great call on CAD JPY. Yeah, it was a very simple setup. We'll go over that real quick, right? I mean, the biggest thing is I'm going to have to shut my office window here in a second. So, I mean, the one thing I always try to teach everybody is understand the true trend of the market, right? Go on a higher time frame. Make sure you see the true idea. Where is it going? So right now you can see very much CAD JPY is in a seller's market, very bearish, right? You don't need an indicator to show you. You don't need to be, a college educated, rocket scientist to understand that from those highs to these lows, this market is still very bearish. So I don't need to mark up anything over here. I don't care about the structure here. I don't care about the structure there. I see a lot of people when they mark up their chart that they're going over way too much and not understanding the true sense of what's going to make them profits. So again, the 50% of my work here is done because I know that I should be looking more along the lines of sells. The only true structure I would say is down here, which we haven't met, at least not currently, and obviously here and down here. Now, I'm not going to leave those marked up because they're so far beyond being met that I really shouldn't be paying attention to anything unless it's going to make me money. So I'm going to delete everything, but I understand that right now CAD JPY has all the room in the world to push down much lower. So I shouldn't be looking for many buys until I get to a buy point. So if I go into this, if I stay on this time frame and try to understand a little bit more, I can say, well, can I draw my channel? Let me see. See, I like drawing my channels manually because that tool never really works that well. So you can see here, bearish trend line and a bearish channel, if you will, just a bearish breakout pattern. But I'm going to get rid of this one down here because we don't need that. But you can see, at least here on the daily time frame, we do have a bearish trend line. This bearish trend line is important because obviously that can be used as a level of dynamic resistance. Dynamic meaning that it is moving alongside or the direction of the market. We have two touches and now we have our third. So not only do we have our third level of respect off that trend line, you can see here on this time frame, let me get rid of a few things here real quick. So on this time frame, we can see there was a level of resistance being formed here. I mean, even if we look back, you can see that this candle tried to break above this level of resistance and couldn't, and completely closed right below. I mean, even there too, right? So with this level of current resistance, I'm going to look for actions that may tell me what's initially going to happen in this market. Is it really respecting this trend line? Is it really respecting this resistance? Is it going to show me a strong idea for a sell? Now, the daily time frame, you're not getting too much as far as bearish variance. I do like this candle here. If you guys would like, let's do this. Go into Google Images and download any picture. A candlestick pattern cheat sheet. If you guys have not done that, please do so. That will save you tons and tons of time, because candlesticks at a level of structure or anywhere, right? Not just a level of structure, obviously at a trend line, obviously at fibs, but when you get these candles respecting or showing some form of action at these points, your point of interests, that's going to give you a strong idea of what's going to happen next, right? So even on this or even the candle next to it, didn't even mean that. Get that back. Even the candle next to it still has a little bit of time, I would say 9 hours to be exact, to still end up very bearish in the sense of giving us a bearish engulfing. I would say really just a bearish engulfing. I don't see it ending up as anything else. And the reason being is because bearish engulfing will just show us volatility. That sellers are still very much within this market. But even here, before we even get to that, the reason for the trade was just that simple idea of the trend line being met and also the head and shoulders pattern, right? The one thing I'm always telling you guys is when you have a head and shoulders pattern, I'm going to draw this out in case anybody's not familiar with this, right? I know I've expressed it a bunch of times, but I'm going to draw it out one more time for you guys. A head and shoulders pattern is when you have a level of resistance that is respected first and then broken out of. The head of the pattern is a fake out because the market should do this and continue to create higher highs and higher lows, but it doesn't. It creates that, or it comes right back into that market structure, and then it creates like this barrier here. It can't break below that previous lower low, this one here. So what it ends up doing is it respects that as support, but doesn't have the energy to create a higher high. This being the real resistance, because this was never supposed to be broken out of anyway, this being the real resistance is now going to be considered your entry points, because you should be looking to enter off of the left shoulder price of your head and shoulders pattern. So what we're looking at with Gbpjpy was we hit a level of resistance. The market started to show weakness to the upside. So when we came back to this price level, we start looking for entries. Now, excuse me. Now, I know our entry was not perfect up here, which is okay, because you have to let the market develop and really show you that it wants to be a sell. But this is why I'm always expressing or stressing the fact to you guys, pay attention to price, because as much as people don't believe me when I say, I would say support and resistance, that's where you're going to get the majority and I wouldn't say just the majority of your entries, but I would say the best entries, because you're going to be selling off of the extreme highs or buying off the extreme lows. And usually what you get is actual movements from those points. Nothing complicated. So if I know that right now we're at a level of resistance, multiple points of resistance, even though the head of this pattern did break above, you can see that this market couldn't quite break above this point even before. Resistance, 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 resistance. So if it sold from that point before, it's probably going to sell from there again, right? So what we ended up doing was I let this market really show us the rejection from that point. If I'm correct, our entry is somewhere here. Let me actually go into Discord real quick. Where is our entry on Gbpjpy? Did I not? Oh, I don't think I put it here. Damn, I should have never deleted my analysis. Oh, yeah, I can actually show here. All right, so yeah, literally right there, right? So we were able to place our trade because, one, the level of resistance was being respected. Two, we have the price of the left shoulder of a head and shoulders pattern being respected. Three, we're getting our rejection from our candlesticks being shown already, i.e. these candles here, right? So we went ahead and placed our trade. We're not overcomplicating anything within our trading. Nothing else was needed. I don't have to put a fib here because, again, more along the lines in a ranging market, you're not going to place a fib. I did not have to have a trend line in the mix, right? There's going to be times where you're not going to have all of that analysis put together. But this is why it's important that we understand the concept of price action trading. You're identifying the most relevant level of price and the actions that proceed within it. So if anybody did go ahead and place your sells on Gbpjpy from the signal that I placed yesterday, let me know in the chat. I want to see if anybody actually did go ahead and profit from that signal. If so, congratulations. I do think that our take profit will be down to this point here. So I know our entry is somewhere up here. You guys are somewhere around 65 pips in profit. And we're looking at about 125 pips as far as our take profit is concerned. So very good trade setup for anybody who was able to place that. And we were able to get another trade You guys didn't get this one. I set this one for legacy students, but we were able to place AUD CHF sells, and I'll go over that as well. A very easy trade, a very simple concept. So, again, damn, I love your explanation already. I appreciate that. It's just real easy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to add so many factors to my trade, right? Or I'm not trying to overcomplicate my idea of an entry, because I'll delete everything here because there's really nothing here. You know what I mean? You see I mean, this is evidence of how simple my trading is, and it works because obviously you guys have placed the trades, and you can see that it's obviously something of benefit. And you can see here, I did tell everybody sell AUD CHF. Please don't sell this already. Trade is long gone. We've already ended up in profits on this. But again, another very simple idea: sell AUD CHF, and I've set this to legacy students. And you can see here, in the beginning, it was looking very good. I don't think I have the analysis on it. Let me see. I don't. Perfect. So, oh, I do. Now it pops up. What are you doing, TradingView? I thought it popped up mad late. I was like, all right, perfect. I wanted to go over this fresh. All right, so, and again, the reason why I'm showing you this, you're up over 150 pips on Gbpjpy, my man. There's news in a moment anyways. Yeah, I know. That's why I got Forex Factory here. There's going to be CAD news. There's going to be US news. That's why I'm not trading anything as of now. But these markets, CAD-JPY, AUD-CHF, they won't be. Actually, you're right. CAD-JPY, that'll be affected by news because of the CAD news, obviously, but also oil. But AUD-CHF should not be affected. But this is another easy trade setup, right? Again, just so that way you guys can see, this was something that I sent out to students. And the reason why we place it is a very easy idea. The reason why I'm showing you this is because I want you guys to be able to, at least, if you're not a legacy member or a legacy student, then at least if you're on your own and you're trading on your own, you'll be able to duplicate some of the success that we have, right? So this is a very easy idea, and the reason why I'm looking at this is because there's another trade setup forming, and I want to be able to go over this so that way you as well could possibly get in on this re-entry. So again, I'm actually going to go replay this really quick, and we're going to take it back to right there, because this is more along the lines of where we were looking. This is where we entered, if I'm correct. We had just let the market develop. It took a while for it to end up in profits for us. So I don't think I really did much on the higher time frame. I understood strong bullish move to the upside, no correction. What I was looking for was at least a move back down here, right? So that way we can get a break and a retest of previous structure that was broken. We're not down to that point yet. So if I can identify any selling factors, and I know I said previously, don't sell into your buy area or whatever I said on gold. If you have experience, if you can see some things, if you can tell that it's going to push into your favor, go for it. The biggest risk in life is not taking one. Why not? So I saw on the daily time frame that we were looking at a potential, not a reversal, a correction, at least a little bit lower. So when I scaled down to a smaller time frame, I didn't quite get too much, except for the fact that we did, in fact, create a double top. A double top while it's creating a level of resistance, right? This being resistance, that being the price of the double top. Now, I did, in fact, mention or note this point here, this middle point, because that middle point in a double top or double bottom must be broken to confirm that it is in fact going to push lower. Now, even though it looked like it broke lower, it did not. It came right back up. But when I scaled down to a smaller time frame, I was starting to see something. So not just that double top that was created up there at a level of resistance, I started noticing that it was creating lower highs. I'm gonna get rid of this structure actually. So it started creating lower highs and lower lows. I'm not going to draw too much so you're not confused. So at the time, this wasn't even here. I think I should replay this a little bit more actually. Let me do this. If I'm correct, I was looking at the trade something like this at the time. So when I had looked at this, I said, okay, well, it's creating lower highs and currently on this time frame, lower lows, which is a tall tale indication that the market is probably no longer bullish and is probably going to start finding some bearish notation. Now, you can't just simply say, well, I think that that's going to happen and I'm going to place my trade. Absolutely not. What we have to do is, again, understand the actions at certain levels of price. So double top at a level of resistance, we start creating our lower lows, lower highs. I start to see, or I was looking at this to be a level of break and retest. But I also noticed that, well, I can't just say break and retest and leave it at that. There has to be more confluence. So what other ideas can I use to really show me there's going to be a potential accurate trade setup? Well, if I draw my trend line from this swing high to this swing low, I don't know if I drew it like this. I might have drawn it like this at first, but I'll draw it like this for right now. So I'm like, okay, well, if there's going to be anything, I have to add confluence. So I add my trend line and I eliminate my structure, because this structure I don't believe is going to hold. I then go ahead, if I'm correct, it went like this. Let me see. I think I went back way too far. Oop. There we go. So I was looking at this as my first level of structure. I just want to make sure I didn't go back too far. So I was looking at this as my first level of structure, but I understand that there's multiple points, especially on small time frames like the 1 hour. It's easily broken. So that wasn't going to be my structure point. I understand that this up here might be as well. Now, sometimes your structures hit, sometimes it's not. Sometimes your trend lines hit, sometimes it's not. Now, when you have everything coming into play, it makes it a lot easier to make sense of it. So I had my trend line, and we also had the structure point. So let me get rid of everything. So what I'm looking at is placing a trade based off of our trend line respect. I think I actually had it like this, and I may have adjusted it. I kind of cheated a little bit at the time because everything was coming into play. I did have my structure being met. I did have, and what's crazy is I didn't have a fib here. I had a fib originally. If I'm correct, I had a fib from here, and I had to eliminate the Fibonacci retracement tool. That's why you don't see one here, because as you can see here, this is an impulsive move. This is a correction. This is its own impulse. This is its correction. Now, you can add a fib here, and it will be considered a 100% retrace, right? I am not a fan of those, to be completely honest. Like those 100% retraces, I'm just personally not a fan of those, only because, I mean, at that point, like on a small, did it even break on a smaller time frame? Yeah, I mean, on smaller time frames, it broke. Now, I'm not a huge advocate about smaller time frames, but even that small break above could dictate a lot. So me, as just, this is a personal preference, I don't like looking at 100% retraces. So I did not use a fib at that point. So again, kind of going back into the Gbpjpy trade, you don't have to always have everything. In this case, we don't have our fibs. At least I don't, right? If you like to use your fibs, then you could obviously look at that as well. But in this case, I don't. So all we did was identify a level of structure, the trend line being met, and you can see here the sell started happening, and if I'm correct, we sold somewhere from over here from there. Now we are about 50 or almost 50 pips in profit. I might actually tell students to take profit on this because we actually did reach our take profits 1. But I'm going over this just so that way you guys can see the reasoning behind why we placed that AUD-CHF trade, why it's important you understand the concept of using technical analysis, price action. We have our trend line being met, the third touch being the trigger, right? The trigger, you're pulling the trigger on your trade to enter, right? And you have the third touch of the trend line, you have the respect of your structure here, and obviously the whole idea coming from, stemming from the double top at a level of structure, right? That's very important. Can I take a look at, what do you think of US30? You tell me. I don't even like this market right now. I really wouldn't say anything. This is not something I personally would trade right now, to be completely honest. Like, this is a little choppy. The only thing I would say is you're buying from here. Until then, you're really not doing anything. But what do you think about US30? If you're looking to, I mean, you could possibly sell from here. But that's really about it. I really wouldn't look. I mean, right now it's selling. This is what I mean about, like, what do you guys think? Right? I'm here to just teach you guys and let you guys know what's up. But what do you guys think? After everything I just showed you, what do you think about US30? Is it buying? Is it selling? You tell me. You have to take a look at it. It's not about what I think. And I know you guys want confirmations and stuff, but this is, I'm telling you, it does not sound rude. This is to build your confidence. What do you think? If you can't think for yourself when it comes to trading, if you can't determine an idea, if you can't say, Jay, I think US30 is selling because of this, this, and that, can you confirm that? You're already wrong. And it's not to sound rude, it's to build your confidence, I promise. Because it's really important that you could go onto a chart and not worry about what I think. I want you to be able to think that for yourself. That is super, super important. What do you think US30 is doing right now? Right? What is it currently doing? If we go into a higher time frame, I mean, even on a higher time frame, that's ugly as hell. I really don't even like that. Like, it's pretty much kind of just stuck in a way. But if you're looking at it on, because I know you guys traded on like the 5 and the 15-minute time frame, what is it doing? It's retracing a little bit. There you go. So what do you do after retracement? After a move is done with its impulse, it corrects. After the market's done correcting, it what? Impulses again. What do you guys think? It is very important that you guys, like, that's the one thing I hate. Like, my biggest pet peeve is somebody saying gold buy sell. What is this doing? Tell me what you think, and I will tell you if I agree. Because it's important. Like, I'm giving you guys all the answers. I'm telling you exactly what to do, how to mark up a chart, and how to identify how to come to your own conclusion when it comes to trading. If you're not getting that, I promise you're going to have a hard time. What do you think is happening with US30? I think the best idea right now is for you to look for buys from here. That's a nice little buy zone. But until then, what do you think is probably going to do? Just like I was showing you before, use your technical tools to identify the true ideas of what a market is going to do. If you just come onto here and say, what do you think this is going to do? You haven't truly looked at it. You mean for US30? Yeah, bro. What do you think I'm on? I'm on US30 right now. What are you talking about? Yes, for US30. Look at the market I'm on. Look at it right here. I'm saying you're looking at US30 right now. If I'm looking at it, this is probably going to be your best buy area. I would say potential buy zone. This is what I mean, yo. Pay attention. This is why a lot of y'all lose money. You have to pay attention. You have to look. You have to actually do some work. You have to actually try. But if this is the potential buy zone, and I can see US30 right now, common sense, creating lower highs and lower lows, what do you think US30 is doing? You don't have to do a lot to see it. It's selling. Like, look at it. Just look from here to here. The current time frame. It is selling. What's complicated about that? Nothing. We make trading easy. We are not going to try to say that we need all this on our chart. Can I even add another one? Nope. We don't need any of this. We don't need 1,000,001 lines. We don't need all these trend lines. We don't need all these weird tools to place a trade or understand anything within the market. Look at it. Actually try. This is why it's important that we pay attention. So yes, for US30, that is considered a buy zone. Potential buy zone. If that is my buy zone, that means that I believe US30 will continue to sell down to this point. This will be considered your buy zone. Add technical analysis to your chart so that way you don't have to ask, what do I think? You tell me, and then I will confirm. That's important. That is so important that you were able to describe, get an idea, tell me what you think, especially you, Salah. You've been on here for a bit. and I go over everything in extreme detail, that you should be able to say, well, using common sense, I'm on the 1 hour time frame. Is this buying or is this selling? Well, right now I can see that it's selling and is not going to buy up until it reaches a specific level of structure. Identify that and you're good. So I do think US30 is selling down to this area here. Very important that you guys look at that. So hopefully that makes sense, but it's not hard. You have to, once you jump onto a chart, you should not be fucking confused. You should be like, oh my God, is it buying? What is it doing? I got to ask somebody. Like, no, absolutely not. You got to look at it. You got to be like, well, okay, I can see right now that before we were creating higher highs and higher lows until we weren't. It is now creating different market structure. I can see that it is no longer buying. If it's going to buy from anywhere, it'll buy from a level of support. We are not at a level of support as of yet. If anything, we could respect what used to be support and be a newfound level of resistance. Now, am I telling you to sell from here? Hell no. Because we have US news coming up, so that'll be retarded. That'll be stupid. We don't want to do that. But if I do anything, that's probably your best bet. Just mark it up and you'll get a strong idea of what's happening. I can get rid of this and just leave that. And that is your entire markup. That is it. Do not make your trading complicated. That is your entire markup. If you want to add the trend line, you can. I'm sorry for any noise in the background, guys. I live in the heart of the city, New York City, so it is extremely loud. But that's literally your entire setup, at least off this time frame. I don't go onto the 5 minute. I don't go onto the 1 minute to try to finagle and just try to like be all perfect and stuff. I'm looking at the overall move because your entries are based off of your analysis, not a time frame. So I'm not going to scale down to the 5 and the 15 minute and start looking for this and that. No. The market is going to react off of a structure point or a level of price regardless of anything, right? So if I can identify this as a previous level of support that is now a newfound level of resistance, if I scale in and use my fib from swing high to swing low, I can see that there's some confluence within that level. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Not hard, just look. Got to look. But that is my idea with US30. You're looking at this as a potential sell zone. Now, please, as I say this being our potential sell zone, do not, I repeat, do not go ahead and start selling this right now. We have 2 minutes until news. Next thing you know, this thing starts skyrocketing above and our analysis is incorrect because technical analysis is not going to be something that you're going to be using right before news because obviously we don't know what the news is going to be, right? We're looking at this on a technical, educational standpoint. If news does come out within the next few minutes or the next minute rather, and it starts shooting down, then our technical analysis was pretty spot on. But I don't think that's going to be the case. So I would at least allow the market to or the news to come out, let this truly develop. But if anything, if we're looking at this with, let's say the news wasn't here, this would be your entire markup, right? At least based off of this time frame. Obviously on a higher time frame, there would be more work done, but there's really not much that you would have to do or need to do there because we have an understanding at least of what the market is doing right now. It's giving us a sell. And it's selling off of specific price points. So hopefully that helps. But again, the same way you mark up any other chart is the same way that you would mark up US30. If anybody's asking, well, if US30 is doing that, is NAS 100? Yes. If US30 is doing one thing, NAS 100, SPX 500 does the same. And look at that. News came out. Seems as if it came out against US30. So let's go take a look at gold. Ah, look at that. So it came against the dollar. Went against it. Let's see Euro USD. Woo, skyrocketing. Okay. Let's see AU. All right. So seems as if it came out negative for the dollar. Let's take a look. Oh, that was Canadian news? That's weird. So US news is at 10. I could have sworn I was at 8:30. I guess I got these two mixed up for a second. See, let's check out some Gbpjpy. Ooh, even better. Since it came out negative for the Canadian dollar, Gbpjpy should just continue to push further, way further into profit. So that's actually really good. So if anybody who did take the sell on Gbpjpy, you guys are going to be seeing a lot more profits. And if it gets too noisy in the background, I know it's like crazy outside, but if anything, I'll close my office window in a second. But yeah, any questions, anything else you guys got for me, feel free to let me know. Definitely want to make sure that I'm helping and assisting to the best of my abilities. But yeah, if not, we'll conclude here in a second. There was yellow folder for US news. Yeah, but for some reason, like usually yellow folder doesn't really give you much, but I guess it did this time. But yeah, any other questions you guys got? I do need to make sure that I'm trading for my students on our binary. I want to make sure that obviously I'm staying consistent with them. So actually yesterday, as you can see here, these are just like closed positions. Yesterday I did go 3-1 for them. Obviously we took the first trade was a loss, but I was able to capitalize on 3 other wins to put everybody in profits. Now I'm only risking a little bit per trade, per entry, so that way obviously keeping the risk management down, or risk management perfect for them. But if anyone knows how to change the investment sizes so that way students could use like a fixed lot, because I'm only using $5 per lot, or per investment rather. If you know how to switch that, please let me know, because I know there's some students that want to increase their investment. So that way they can make more money. If anybody knows how to do that, please let me know, because I definitely want to make sure that they're making more money than just the $5 or the $3 profit. You know what I mean? But yeah, I want to make sure that I'm trading binary for students here as well. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to let me know. If not, we'll conclude for today. I will be on the charts looking to see if there's any other trade signals, see if there's any other opportunities, not just for legacy students, but for you guys as well. For legacy students, I will be on the binary auto trader and just our Forex auto trader as well for the remainder of the day. So if there's any questions that you guys have, I'll be more than available, and you have all of my time as well. LA said it did today. Yeah, that yellow folder news was like, nah, I'm here, I'm him. So I got you, yellow folder news. You the one. All right, but yeah, anything else you guys got today, feel free to let me know. Let me go ahead and take a look at AUD CHF. Okay. So yeah, you know what? For legacy students, if you're still in AUD CHF sells, by all means, feel free to take profits on that as well. I think we might. Our first take profit is hit. That's about 50 pips, so not a bad trade setup. AUD CHF doesn't pay out too much, because on anything else, that big drop would have been at least almost 100 pips instead of 50. But yeah, any other questions you guys got, feel free to let me know. Let me see if there's anything else that could possibly be a trade setup. I might be looking at AU here in a second. I know we have US news, but this actually looks really, really good for a potential sell. Actually, I might be looking at this, so I'll keep you guys updated with this trade as well. There might be something setting up and brewing with this, but yeah, anything. I don't see anything in the chat so far. Seems like you guys are good. Real quick, if you guys got any value from this, if you were able to make any type of profits off that Gbpjpy trade that was in the Discord for you, feel free to leave a like. Again, it's very important that we grow this community. The more people we have on these sessions, so far we didn't have too many people on today, which is expected. It's Monday. But the more people we have, the longer I'll stay on, the more knowledge I'll drop, the more value I'll be providing. So help me help you. If you guys can, just leave a like, a comment, anything, share this with somebody so that way they can see there is some type of value and education out there when it comes to trading the Forex markets. I definitely want to make sure that I'm helping out as much as I possibly can. So yeah, with that being said, we'll conclude for today. For legacy students, I will be trading binary here for you guys in a few minutes, just so that way you guys are making profits on all ends throughout the, through the signals, the auto trader, and now binary as well. You guys should be absolutely set. And I forgot about AUD JPY sells from yesterday. This is, if you go back into yesterday's live, we actually spoke about looking at sells on AUD JPY as well. I actually completely forgot about this, but yeah, we'll conclude for today. We'll catch back on first thing tomorrow morning. For legacy students, I will be right there with you very shortly. We'll be looking at placing some trades in the auto trader and for the for binary as well. So with that being said, we'll conclude for today. We'll catch back on first thing tomorrow morning. And yeah, I appreciate every last one of you guys. You're all amazing, and I appreciate you guys for helping us grow this community as well. So guys, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys first thing tomorrow morning. Thanks, guys.